My mother let my stepfather abuse me and forced me to call him dad. Now that he's dying, she's playing the victim on Reddit. I'm not very familiar with Reddit, but a slightly younger coworker recommended it, so here I am. She said I could share my story and that people might offer advice and support. She used it when her husband cheated on her, so I decided to give it a try. I'm a mother in my early 50s, trying to care for a husband whose health is rapidly declining, while also meeting the needs of 2 children who still live at home. And now, my oldest daughter, whom I raised almost entirely on my own during her early years, has completely turned her back on us, just when we need her the most. We always had a difficult relationship, I won't deny that, but I never stopped loving her. That's what a mother does, right? I never stopped trying, even when she pushed me away. Even now, years after she left, I still reach out. I leave messages. I send cards. I've never given up on her, because I still want a relationship with her. So you can imagine the pain when she recently told me she didn't care, that we meant nothing to her, and that we were already dead and buried. I still can't believe those words came out of her mouth. Maybe a little context about my situation will help you see things more clearly. I was young when I had her. Her father and I weren't married, and things were complicated. He died suddenly when she was only 4 years old, which was devastating for both of us. I was grieving, terrified, and completely lost. His family took us in for a while, and I'll always be grateful for that. But it wasn't a real life. I needed stability. I needed to build something better for my daughter and myself. So we moved out. We needed independence. We couldn't rely on others. I know that upset some people, and maybe it hurt my daughter in ways I couldn't see back then, but I was trying to start over, to give her more than I ever had. Eventually, I met the man who would become my husband. He was steady, hardworking, and responsible. Not flashy, not overly emotional, but he wanted to provide. He didn't have to get involved with a woman who already had a child, but he did. From the beginning, he stepped into that role. He made room for her in his life. We asked her to call him dad, not to erase her past, but because we wanted to be a family. And also, as a gesture of gratitude for him accepting us. I didn't think it was too much to ask. A child needs a father figure, and I was trying to give her a complete family. She resisted. She was always very stubborn. We tried to be patient, but how long can you let a child disrespect the man who feeds, clothes, and cares for her? He didn't yell out of cruelty. He wanted her to understand how much he cared, and that it hurt to be treated like a stranger when he was trying so hard to be a father. There were moments when she seemed to adjust, but now I know she never really accepted him. And I'll be honest, when we had more children, things changed. That happens in families. We had our own kids too. I wanted to give that to him. And yes, the dynamic shifted. But I never stopped caring for her. I was overwhelmed, juggling the house, the kids, and work. Maybe I missed things. Maybe I wasn't as present as I should have been. But who hasn't made parenting mistakes? She says she was treated differently. I think she forgets the times we scraped money together for her activities, her vacations, her birthday parties. Sure, maybe her siblings had newer stuff sometimes, but life was harder when she was little. We didn't have much back then. She only sees the unfairness, not how far we've come. She acts like everything was cold and calculated, when in truth, it was just life. But he paid for her braces. He took her to practice. He was there at her graduation, even when she refused to smile at him. He's not a monster. He's now a sick man, slowly fading away. And she doesn't even call to ask how he's doing. She doesn't come to say goodbye. She doesn't help keep this family afloat. I understand anger, truly, I've had my fair share of it in this life. But what I don't understand is cruelty. Her rejection doesn't feel like a healthy boundary. It feels like punishment. Like she wants me to suffer. And I don't know what I did that was so unforgivable. I didn't abuse her. I didn't abandon her. I did the best I could with what I had. Isn't that what every mother tries to do? Now I'm stuck in this house that feels both too quiet and too loud at the same time. My husband stares blankly at the television. The kids ask when their sister will come visit. And I don't have the heart to tell them she probably never will. I go to bed hoping that tomorrow will be the day she changes her mind. That I'll wake up to a message, a voicemail, or a knock on the door. I've started to wonder if I really did fail her. Maybe I ruined everything so deeply that there's no going back. I don't even know what I'd say to her now if she came back. All I know is I'd hold her tighter and never let her go again. So I don't know. Strangers on the internet, please help me. I'm not perfect, I know that. But I'm not a bad person either. Hi. I'm a tired mother. With too much weight on her shoulders and a broken heart. How do I fix this? How do I reach my daughter without pushing her even farther away? Is there anything I can do to win her back? Please, any advice, any thoughts? Jesus Christ, you just wrote a full-on novel. Blaming your daughter for not wanting to take care of a man who emotionally abused her. And a mother who allowed it. You forced her to lie about her own identity for your comfort. You didn't want a family. You wanted control. And now you're shocked that she doesn't want to play nurse to the man who made her life hell? He's not just imperfect, ma'am. He punished her for not calling him dad. That's emotional abuse. And you backed him every time. You left her to drown in that house. And now you expect her to come save you? Your daughter owes you nothing. You didn't build a family. You built a facade. No, you weren't a mother. You were a martyr in your own eyes. And a coward when she needed protection. You're reaping what you sowed. Look, I'm not saying the OP is innocent. Because clearly she made massive mistakes. And seems unwilling to own up to them. But damn. The daughter also sounds like a bitter, heartless person. Life isn't black and white. Maybe the stepfather was a jerk. Maybe the OP was weak. But she's still your mother. The woman who gave birth to you, who raised you. Probably bled for you. And now she's falling apart and you just stand there. With your arms crossed. Acting like some untouchable ice queen. Hate to break it to you, sweetheart. But one day you'll be 50 and broken too. And you'll wonder. Why your own kids turned their backs on you. Karma doesn't care who was right. You cut your family off and act. Like that makes you strong. You'll understand someday, maybe too late. OP, stay strong. You did the best you could. Sometimes kids don't understand. Until they have to carry their own weight. Oh no. You don't get to write this as if you're the victim. You emotionally neglected your daughter for years. Enabled a manipulative stepfather. And now you're crying. Because your little golden child strategy didn't work out. You're the kind of mother who thinks that just because you gave birth, you're entitled to eternal loyalty. Guess what? Respect isn't inherited. You lost it. When you treated her grief as an inconvenience. To your new marriage. And now she's doing what every survivor of toxic parenting dreams of. Living her own life. She owes you nothing. Nothing. I don't care how many adult diapers you change. That's your circus and your monkey. Which in this case is your husband. And no. I don't feel sorry for your husband. There are weird undertones in your story. Sounds like that man didn't just want respect from your daughter. He enforced it through physical intimidation. So she has every right to hate you and that jerk. Maybe I'm wrong. But calling him a little too strict is very telling. And here you are, playing the victim. Maybe instead of writing sad stories online, you should sit down and think about what you did. And if you can't own up to it, enjoy the silence. You earned it. Lies have short legs. Update number 1. First of all, I want to thank the few kind-hearted people who understood my pain and offered genuine support. Those who understand what it means to be a mother. How painful, thankless it can be sometimes, and how much we suffer. To the rest of you, I don't even know where to start. I came here looking for advice, maybe some encouragement or understanding. And instead, I was torn apart. As if I were some kind of monster. The level of cruelty in the comments was absolutely unnecessary. Yes, I made mistakes. I never claimed to be perfect. But the way some of you spoke to me was disgusting. I'm a good woman. I've tried to live my life right. I'm religious. I believe in forgiveness. And doing the best you can with what life throws at you. And right now, life is throwing everything at me. My husband is dying. I have 2 children who are scared and confused, clinging to me for stability. And now I have to deal with strangers on the internet, calling me abusive, toxic, and worse. Let me make one thing clear. I never abused my daughter. I never even laid a hand on her. I never hated her. I never made her feel less, at least not intentionally. I did what I thought was best. Maybe I was too strict. Maybe I pushed too hard for her to accept a father figure. But the alternative was spoiling her. And ending up with a brat. Well, guess what? That's exactly how she's acting now. Maybe she needed even more discipline. She doesn't know what it's like to be in my shoes. She never had to stay up at night, wondering if there would be electricity the next day. She never had to bury a partner and learn how to raise a baby alone. To those who say she owes you nothing. Really? Nothing? After I gave her my youth, my energy, and my whole life? I was the one who brought her into this world. Back in my day, that used to mean something. I worked myself to exhaustion to feed her. I gave up relationships, dreams, even family ties. Because I believed she needed stability. And now that I'm falling apart, she spits in my face and says I'm dead to her? And for the record, my younger kids can't help. One is only 15 and suffers from severe anxiety. The other is 13 and in middle school, barely understanding what's happening to their dad. I'm not going to dump the responsibility of caring for a sick adult onto them. That wouldn't be fair. They still need a childhood. They need protection. Something I also tried to give my daughter. Even if she refuses to see it that way. My husband is getting worse. His condition is progressing rapidly, just as we feared. He gets confused. He forgets where he is. Some days he doesn't even know who I am. I have to bathe him, feed him, calm him down when he panics at night. And I'm doing it alone. Because the one person I thought I could count on has turned her back on us. I'm trying to get part-time hospice care. But we can't afford anything permanent. The bills are piling up. The stress is killing me. And every time I try to reach out to her, things get worse. She doesn't answer, or worse, she blocks me. I pray every night for clarity. For strength. For her heart to soften. I've tried apologizing. I've tried explaining. But it's like screaming into a void. Everyone keeps saying own your part, and I have. I know I pushed. I know I made mistakes. But where is her compassion? Where is her grace? I gave her everything. And now I'm being crucified by strangers. While my heart breaks in slow motion. All I wanted was a complete family. All I wanted was for my daughter to be part of it again. I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't know what to do anymore. Yes, I'm exhausted. I'm lost. And honestly, I feel like I'm being punished for trying too hard for too long. So please, if you're just here to attack me, scroll on. I've had enough pain. But if there's someone out there with real advice, not about the past, but about what I can do now, today, to get through this, maybe to reach her again, to survive this without completely breaking, I'm ready to listen. The rest of you, don't waste my time. I don't have time for you. Please. Be kind. Comment. If you're going to post on Reddit, you need to grow a thicker skin. This isn't your church support group. People here don't sugarcoat when they smell bullshit. You keep painting yourself as the poor, suffering mother. But your daughter didn't cut you off out of nowhere. You made her pretend to be someone else. For a man who clearly didn't want her. And now you're surprised she's not running back to take care of the man who made her life miserable? No, people aren't attacking you. You're facing the consequences. That's life. It hurts, but it's fair. You wanted sympathy. What you got was honesty. You say your younger kids can't help because they deserve a childhood. And your oldest, did she get one? Or did you throw her under the bus so you could play happy family with a man who treated her like a burden? You're reaping what you sowed. You were okay with her being emotionally abandoned as a teen. The fact that she left the very day she legally could, and never looked back, says it all. Stop playing the victim. You chose your husband over her, again and again. Good luck. You'll need it. No one here denies you're going through a hard time. But stop using it as a weapon. You act like being tired and religious gives you some kind of moral immunity. It doesn't. You allowed your daughter to be mistreated. And then demanded a respect she never received. She left because you showed her, repeatedly, that she didn't matter unless she followed your script. And now that she's taken off the mask, you're shocked she doesn't want to keep pretending? You keep saying, I gave her everything. If that were true, she wouldn't have run the first chance she got. Daughter's post. I'm here because my mother, or the person who calls herself that, has been making posts. But she came into my space. My corner of the world. I've had a Reddit account for years. At first, I read hundreds of stories because I wanted to understand what I had been through, which will take time to explain. But also because I enjoy giving advice. Hi. This isn't my main account, I want to protect it. I've never written my story on that account either. Because I didn't want anyone to know about my past. But now my past has been dragged into the light by my mother, who continues to do things just to hurt me. And now it's my turn to bring the present and the future back at her like a slap in the face. I don't want to tell my whole story from the beginning. I think it would be too long and boring. There are some things my mother, and I'll call her that just to keep this readable, said that are true. Like the fact that my father died. And that we lived with some of his relatives for a while. But 80 or 90% of what she said is not true. And that's what I'm here to set straight. Knowing my mother. And other narcissists like her who've come to Reddit, seeking redemption through lies. She'll probably delete her account after this. But I don't care. Let's begin. To start, she said some of my father's relatives took us in for a while. And that she'll be eternally grateful. That's one of her many lies. I could dissect them all. But I'll focus only on the biggest ones. So you can understand what my mother is really like. When I was 4. Though I don't remember everything clearly. We lived with some relatives until I was about 6. I only remember scattered moments, mostly from the end. We didn't leave because she wanted independence. We left, or more accurately, she escaped. Because she was not a good mother. She wasn't physically violent with me. Though I'll talk about that later. But she was verbally abusive. What I remember from that time is her telling me to shut up when I cried because I missed my dad. The relatives stepped in. Something I confirmed later by speaking with them after I left that house. Eventually, she ran off with me in the middle of the night to live independently. In quotes. She says she saved up for my activities, vacations, and birthdays. She also says I owe her my life because she gave birth to me. No one ever asked me if I wanted to be born. But she thinks I owe her something. For doing the bare minimum as a mother. No. She never saved up for me. The money we had, she spent on going out with men. Until her future husband came along. Whom I'll talk about later because he's important. That's why I don't thank her. That's why I don't feel I owe her anything. I also found it funny that she claims to remember. The morning I left. That was after a big fight the night before. One that also involved her husband. She never offered me breakfast. Not even when she saw me walking out the door with my things. She just went about her business. As if she didn't care in the slightest. And she never did care. Not until that recent phone call. She never looked for me. There were no cards. No gift vouchers. None of the stuff she made up. Just silence. And for me, that was fine. That's what I wanted when I left. But now she doesn't get to say I'm ungrateful. For not wanting to take care of the trash she married. Not only do I not care if he suffers or not. I hope he dies already. And before I move on to my stepfather. I just want to say that yes. She threw everything she ever did for me in my face. Even things that never happened during that one call. Reading that in her post made me laugh. I think she's checked every box of the narcissist. Liar, manipulator, and idiot. Now about my stepfather and my siblings. I have nothing against my siblings. They still live there. But I ran away from that house. I was never jealous of them. Though my mother used that excuse. To justify my hatred toward her. The hatred you'll understand better. Once I tell you about my stepfather. Although honestly. You've already got enough reasons to despise her. Before he came into the picture. My mom was spending money going to bars. Money we didn't have. That's why the lights were getting shut off. Okay, there's one thing she said that was true. She dated men who were disasters. But none of them compared to my stepfather. No, he didn't abuse me in the way some might assume. But yes, he hit me. A lot. I still remember how he split my lip. When I refused to call him dad just 2 weeks after meeting him. When I was 8 years old. It's true that my mother never laid a hand on me directly. But she let someone else do the dirty work, her husband. That man beat me for 10 years. Right up to the night before I left. The reason my mother couldn't even look at me that day. Was because she didn't want to see what he had done to my face. My mother didn't suffer any of it. Not until after I was gone. She was completely devoted to him. Refusing to call him dad, which I didn't want to do. Because of what he did to me. Was basically a one-way ticket to hell. She also made sure we were isolated. Moving to the other side of the country. So my father's family couldn't find us. Yes. It took me years to save enough and get stable. So I could finally visit them. And yes. Any excuse was good enough to hit me. It wasn't just for not calling him dad. I had to do all the chores. Like an unpaid maid. That's why I refused to do it again as a caregiver. I wasn't allowed to have a life after school. I had to come home early, work late. And there was always something to do. And if I complained, I got hit. Or worse. Once, he even set my hair on fire. He claimed it was an accident. But I lost a big patch on the right side. I had to wear a hat for weeks. And say it was a bad haircut. Later I cut it shorter to make it less obvious. So yes. I'm glad he's dying. I'm glad he's suffering. I'm glad he's soiling himself. And doesn't recognize my mother. I will not send money. I will not go help her. The only help I'm offering is tossing the final shovel of dirt onto his coffin. And that's it. Maybe I don't even want him to die that soon. A few more months of suffering might be nice. Edit. Yes, I saw that my mother deleted her posts. But that's fine. You all did a great job commenting things like, lies have short legs. Daughter's update. My stepfather is dead. And even though I wish he had suffered more while alive, I'm sure he's suffering somewhere now. I know nothing about my mother. She hasn't tried to reach out to me since I made my post. She's probably too busy trying to sell the house to pay off medical bills. Now it's her turn to suffer. But worse.